Okay, they can see it and they can. Okay, it's ready. Good afternoon, everybody. So good to have you here today with us in this our 12th workshop that I have as poet laureate. 12th workshop. Ah, no.
Después se va, ahí está.
Then, okay. Welcome everybody and welcome everybody who's seeing us through WebEx. Hello, we have people from all over the state of Texas, and we're hoping somebody from Switzerland and somebody from Mexico to sign up, but we don't know. We don't know if their Wi-Fi was working. So today, I'm so happy to welcome you to La Vida Fronteriza. To live in the border area means that's our prompt for today. So everybody keep thinking of what you could write about to what it means for you to live in the border. We're going to give you many poems, and many ideas. If you need pen and paper, we had some, I don't know if they're gone, but there's some in the back in case you need paper and pen. We want you to take notes. We want you to be inspired and hopefully write good poetry for today. Okay, this, I already told you, is our 4th of the year and my 12th as poet laureate. And the next workshop will be Tuesday, October 11th, for those of you who are saying also you want to come for next one. And our theme will be calaveras, but not just calaveras, but calaveras fronterizas. Why? Why calaveras fronterizas? Well, the purpose of the poetry, the Write Poetry Laredo, is to promote the literary arts, especially poetry, highlight the diversity, uniqueness, and beauty of Laredo. And what is more beautiful than our bilingual, than to be bilingual and bicultural community? And so that's what I'm doing right now, promoting this. And La Vida Fronteriza is a community project for the city of Laredo. And I already told you the prompt, to live in the border means, and I am going to hopefully have a lot of poems from you or from people from Laredo or formerly from Laredo. And as we write a lot of them, and I'm having curators and editors select the best, and then the best poems will be put in a book and published. So please try your best to do a good poem so it can be published. And that'll be my gift to the city of Laredo. I feel very honored that they chose me, so I wanted to give something back. And what better than to give my thoughts and all of you, because I'm not the only one. I want to share the gift of poetry with all the city of Laredo. So this is, and first, we will read poems. If you've been in my other workshops, the way I think that to write poetry, you must read a lot of poetry. Is to be a good writer, you must be a good reader. I think all English teachers agree with me with that. And the first thing we're going to read is some poems from Arizona. And this is Alberto Rios. He's a Regents professor from Arizona, and he was a poet laureate a few years back, 3-4 years back. And he is originally from Nogales, Arizona. So like me, I'm originally from Nuevo Laredo. So he was an immigrant. And he came, and he's now a professor, not just a professor, but a Regents professor. So he's like us, like many of us, you know, Papa Mexicano, Mama Inglesa. His mother is English. And the first poem we're going to read, and we're going to ask Cristina Soto from United South High School to come and read it for us. And you notice, yes, a big applause. Thank you, Cristina Soto, for reading for us. This one I highlighted in yellow because I want you to listen to the poems and see what verses speak to you. I started with Alberto Rios, already highlighting what speaks to me. And I'll tell you a little bit what speaks to me, but feel free when Cristina Soto is reading this poem to you to highlight or copy. You can't highlight, obviously, but copy or what it means to you. Because poems all say something to us, and we have to make them our own. Okay, Chris. And Cristina, she was my student back at Cigarroa just a couple of years ago. Not too much. And now she's a teacher at United South, and I'm so proud of her. Thank you.
So the title of this poem is The Border, a Double Sonnet. Now, a double sonnet, Alberto Rios, I was listening to him, and it is 28 lines. So it's kind of like 14 of a double. And there are two ways to see this. He entitles it The Border, and the way he sees it and says, or is like a coordinating conjunction. I love this, right? It's a coordinating conjunction that brings two together. So maybe two countries together, but he doesn't see it as a separation, if not best to see it as a unification. And so he never saw it growing up, having a father, as he says, who was very dark and a mother who was very white. He didn't see the difference. He was joined, they joined together out of love. And to him, the border is love. And so he also mentions that we can choose the language, and mentions there's a pen, and we can call it a pluma. We can call it a plume, a bolígrafo. You just keep going with languages, but we choose the language. And that is part of the border experience that he had, that it's a choice of language. And we were talking about languages earlier, and I think our social studies teachers were talking about language with their students today. And so there's a connection that's made. And the more we hear about it, the more we understand, and the more we almost fall in love with our languages. And we're not afraid to utilize those languages. So here's his poem, The Border, a Double Sonnet. The border is a line that birds cannot see. The border is a beautiful piece of paper folded carelessly in half. The border is where flint first met steel, starting a century of fires. The border is a belt that is too tight, holding things up, but making it hard to breathe. The border is a rusted hinge that does not bend. The border is a blood clot in the river's vein. The border says stop to the wind, but the wind speaks another language and keeps going. The border is a brand, the double X of barbed wire, scarred into the skin of so many. The border has always been a welcome stopping place, but is now a stop sign, always red. The border is a jump rope, still there, even after the game is finished. The border is a real crack in an imaginary dam. The border used to be an actual place, but now it is the act of 1,000 imaginations. The border, the word border, sounds like order, but in this place, they do not rhyme. The border is a handshake that becomes a squeezing contest. The border smells like cars at noon and wood smoke in the evening. The border is the place between the 2 pages in a book where the spine is bent too far. The border is 2 men in love with the same woman. The border is an equation in search of an equal sign. The border is the location of the factory where lightning and thunder are made. The border is No, the clown, who can't make anyone laugh. The border is a locked door that has been promoted. The border is a moat, but without a castle on either side. The border has become checkpoint Chale. The border is a place of plans constantly broken and repaired and broken. The border is mighty, but even the parting of the seas created a path, not a barrier. The border is a big, neat, clean, clear black line on a map that does not exist. The border is the line and new bifocals. Below, small things get bigger. Above, nothing changes. The border is a skunk with a white line down its back. Thank you.
It's fascinating. I love it, and I don't know what verses spoke to you. I highlighted the first one. The border is a line that birds cannot see, because like Alberto couldn't see the difference between an English mother and a Mexican father, and no difference between Nogales, Arizona and Nogales, Sonora. And there is no difference. I'm from Mexico, but I'm here now. My parents are there. You know, we cannot see the border. Says stop to what the wind, but the wind speaks another language. So it's another language, and that stops it, but we're still here. And a stop sign is always red. Now it's always red because you can't come without papers. And what other one did the border is I love that one. Two men in love with a woman. It's like we are in love with two cultures, but we are one. You know, we love, we can love. And the border has become checkpoint chale. Chale. No pasas. Yeah. Chale. I was in Cigarroa and at Martin, so I know barrio Spanish. Check chale. ¿Verdad? Está bien. Chale, no. Chale. And the border is what? Rightly, but no veo. I love that one. It's mighty, but even the parting of the seas. I love that one because even the parting of the seas created a path and not a barrier. The border should not be a barrier. That speaks tons, thousands of words. It's a path, you know, no wall right there, not a barrier. We shouldn't be stopping people, just like birds don't have borders. We shouldn't, you know. I don't mean to be, you know, break the laws, but it shouldn't. That's what Alberto Rios, a poet laureate from Arizona, is saying. Now we have another by Alberto Rios, and this one's Border Boy, and it should be read by Mary Lou Lopez, but she called that she's couldn't be here, and I don't see her in WebEx. Is Mary Lou in WebEx? She said she might be in WebEx, but she's not. So I'm going to read it for you. And it says, I grew up on the border, and though I left, I have brought it with me wherever I've gone. And I underline truth. You're always a border, but you're always from here, from where you were brought up. Its lines guide me. Its line guides me. This long, winding thread of memory. The border wasn't as big as they say. It fit neatly behind my eyes and between my ears. It guides me still, I know, but it is not a compass. It is not a place out there, but a place in here. I catch on its barbed wire in both places. It is a line I step over and the ledge I duck under. I have looked under its skirts and it has bought me. Many times we're old friends and we play the game well. When someone says border now or frontera or the line, la línea or the fence or whatever else, we name the edge and the end of things. I hear something missing in the words. The what if it used to be. Its name does not include its childhood. I grew up liking the border and its great soar. Its drama always good for a story the way soars always are. A soar is a place where and I can't read the rest, okay? I'm sorry. The border is not a soar. Instead, it is something we keep picking at, something that has no name. The border I knew was something with a history, but this thing now, it's stranger even to itself. So how has the border changed? It has changed a lot, especially for us who are a certain age and we knew the border before and the border now. And I'm sure your parents can tell. I'm so happy I have so many students. Thank you for being here because this is for the young. The future belongs to you. Okay, and I'm so happy you're here. Yes. And so I'm sure your parents have told you that before going across the river was just like crossing I-35. You know, it was just another street, the bridge. Yes, you pay a toll road, but a toll, but it was just a street. It was no big deal. Now, so many people have never gone across or don't go, you know, haven't gone for ages. So that's Borderlands, líneas fronterizas, and that's Alejandra Iñiguez is a teacher at United South. Yes. And we're happy that he's here with me. Because they have to see you in WebEx. And I'm so happy all of you are here, the WebEx, my WebEx people.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Hi. Hello. All right. So this is Borderlands by Alberto Rios. A weight carried by two weighs only half as much. The world on a map looks like the drawing of a cow in a butcher shop. All those lines showing where to cut. That drawing of the cow is also like a jigsaw puzzle, showing just as much how very well all the strange parts fit together. Which way we look at the drawing makes all the difference. We seem to live in a world of maps, but in truth, we live in a world made of not of paper and ink, but of people. Those lines are our lives together. Let us turn the map until we see clearly. The border is what joins us, not what separates us. Thank you.
Thank you. It's so beautiful. And the way you say it, my darling, I would have given you more poems. Yeah, I forgot. The world on a map looks, where is it? The one that when we have two is and I didn't, the first line you read, can you say it again?
First,
Yes, no, it's
a weight carried by two weighs only half as much.
yes, and I had underlined that, and you know what? I probably erased it.
You were so passionate.
Yes, and I love that line. A weight carried by two weighs half as much. So the border, we are two, we could be together instead of separate. And I love the images of the butcher shop and the lines. The border is just a line. It's just an imaginary. And I love, we live in a world made not of paper, but of people. I'm the border. You're the border. My parents live, you know, en el otro lado, como le decimos, ¿verdad? And I live here. So it's not lines, it's people. The border is people. So I hope all these verses are giving you ideas of what to write. You know, the border is what joins us, not what separates us. There's a bridge and we are joined. And I was telling a reporter that should have been here today, but I don't see Jorge Vela here unless, no, he's not here. That when Laredo was founded back in 1755 by Don Tomas Sanchez, it was founded on both sides of the river, the north side and south side. But when the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo came in 1848, then the U.S. was just to the north side and Mexico is the south side of Laredo, but it was the same Laredo. And so I'm happy they named it Nuevo Laredo. Of course, it was Nuevo because it was no longer part of the old Laredo. So we are the same people. We are the same town. I don't know if you young ones knew that, but we are the same. And many of us have family on both sides of the Rio or on both sides of the country, you know, to Mexico City, tus tías. Jessica, I'm thinking of your tías. And now we have a treat, you know, Javier Zamora. And let me see who's going to read Javier. Oh, I'm going to read Javier Zamora because Alberto couldn't be here. But let me tell you, Javier Zamora is a 32-year-old professor has a fellowship at Stanford and he's a fellow at Harvard. And he has fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation. He is the author of this book. I have here, Unaccompanied. That's his first book of poems. And he has another one that I didn't bring you because it was too big and heavy. It's called Solito, and it's his autobiography. And he was born in El Salvador, like it says there, in 19. The guy is only 32 years old. His parents had to leave El Salvador because of the violence that was going on there, and he was left with his grandparents. Well, he missed his parents very much, and by 9 years old, they tried to bring him, send him by plane, but he couldn't get a visa. You know how hard it is to get a visa? Those of you, I don't know, maybe you know, maybe you don't, but it's very hard to get a visa. So they send them with the next best thing, a coyote. And they send them with family, several people, and they paid a lot of money to take care of that 9-year-old. But along the way, I'm reading the autobiography Solito, and it came out September 8th, and it's now already a bestseller in the New York Times. It was already a bestseller before it was even out because people were so excited about reading his story. And I'm Guatemala, but it's supposedly when he gets to Mexico, he gets lost from the group. So he travels solito, todo Mexico at 9 years old. And 1 year later, without his parents knowing where he is, without nothing, he makes it to California where his parents are 1 year and some months later. And so without any English, he goes to Stanford. And now at 32, he's a poet in English. See, so it's remarkable, his story. And his poems are so different. First, this one is a poetic prose. And this one is talking, why do they come? Why do the people, why do they come? Why are they so many? Why are they here? And the violence that he was fleeing. This is just a little glimpse. Read the book. It's incredible. But they said for Israel and Maria de los Angeles. My uncle Israel and his fiancée Maria were among the first victims of the war in my hometown. Renato Quintanilla, the high school teacher's brother, force injected my uncle with a mixture of unidentified drugs. A few days later, Maria was raped and murdered by 3 soldiers under the command of Sargento Cachaca. My mother, then 9 years old, found Maria in the public latrines. Israel became one of the town's locos before a few months later, he completely disappeared. Mi familia still does not know where he is. So this is a harrowing tale. He was force injected with drugs. And then he became one of the locals. And of course, the poetry is in prose, poetic prose. The following is more, these are like 7 pieces to this story. I just put 2 of them, the first one and the second one. Still for Israel and Maria. I wasn't born when all this happened. I've learned to lower my eyelids, so blood looks like dirt. In dreams, uncle flowed from a kitchen past the chicken coop where there's shade. The space modules he threw from trees say, if he'd been an astronaut, he would have been Israel Armstrong. I can't remember his voice. When I wake, my toes pinch and my shirt shortens, and the moon says, this is a sign. For the longest time, my father believed Israel was rained on by bombs. Shadow in rivers, ditch in the dark. Precisely. Radio reporters started countdowns backwards. Oh my goodness, this, I can't read it all. Roxanne, I don't know. But my father still carries unopened water bottles in case he finds them. Little line, see, that doesn't let me read, but it's okay. We get the gist of the poem. And again, a harrowing poem. How horrible. I don't know what verse got to you, but I don't know if you, I hope you've never had somebody in your family who's missing and they never know what happened to him. They never found the body, never knew. So he's writing this as a memory because he's writing this as a 28-year-old. I think he wrote that book as a 28-year-old in the United States. But remembering all the stories that his parents told him. His mother was only 9 years old. And this is his father's brother who has disappeared. And like this, you will hear. I served as a translator, interpreter for one of the women detention center on Saunders. You cannot tell it's a prison. It's called a detention center, and it's a private prison. And I was there translating for only women, and their only crime was that they were seeking asylum, and they would go to the so they were put in detention centers, and some of them had been there 1 year or 2 years. And I was there just translating for the lawyers, and every story broke your heart. I come home crying because every story had rapes and murders and this and that, and they left because they were desperate. When COVID came, well, I couldn't go anymore. I didn't go. But then when I learned that only 10% are given asylum. Oh, and they were charged $3,000 or $5,000 to get into the United States, una fianza bail. And it heard that 90% of them didn't get anything. And these stories were like this one. So legally, it's very hard to get into the United States. Very hard for people from Latin America. It's not hard if you're coming from Europe, but from Latin America, no. You have to, there's not even a line to form many times. Okay, so this is, and he, I don't know about his legal status, the Javier Zamora line. So now we come to Gloria Ansaldúa, and Ileana will read us her poem. And Gloria Ansaldúa was an American scholar. She was born in the Rio Grande Valley in 1942. She wrote this book, Borderlands, La Frontera. And the reason it's this, because I read it in one of my classes for my PhD, my doctoral, and all marked. And I loved Gloria Ansaldúa. It's another poet that's wonderful. Her book has been a subject of controversy because she promotes and affirms Hispanic identity. The book was banned in Arizona. You know how they're banning a lot of books. Her book, well, they even banned Huckleberry Finn's, my goodness. So Borderlands, La Frontera was banned. Her poem, To Live in the Borderland Means, is one of the poems that serves as a prompt for our project. In this iconic poem, she talks about identity, because who are we? Are we Mexican? Are we American? ¿Qué somos? Are we indigenous? We're all mestizos. We all have mestizos, unless your grandparents came from Spain directly. If you were here more than 2 generations, you're mestizo. She talks about linguistic terrorism, how she was hit if she was speaking Spanish, and that happened to us. Not to me, because I would speak English, because I didn't want the nuns to hit me with a ruler. But it happened in my time. They would hit us, literally. Hit us in the hands, the knuckles, I don't know. Just the boys got that. But it happened. And what happens when they do that to you? It's telling you your language, it's bad. Your language, don't speak Spanish, just speak English. English is a language that is the good language, and the other one, no, es de segunda clase or something. It's the discrimination. So she talks also about discrimination that she felt. And she also tells you, but at the end, that you should be proud of your heritage. This is why I chose this poem. At the end, she tells you to be a crossroads or una encrucijada. Take the best of both cultures to form a new mestiza. And that's why the new mestiza is, we're going to be mestizos, Mexicanos, but also new one because we speak English. Don't forget your Spanish. Don't forget your culture, but be both. And I put in yellow from Cesar Chavez that I love all the quotes that he has. Cesar Chavez only went to the 8th grade, and yet he was brilliant if you've ever read his papers. And the first one is the one I want to read to you. Preservation of one's own culture does not require contempt or disrespect for other cultures. So if you speak Spanish and you keep your Hispanic identity, that doesn't mean you are not an American. You're still an American. America is a melting pot. Okay, so that's what this means. And I hope you like the Borderlands and you get this one. I didn't underline. I want you to see what you like and be inspired. But to live in the Borderland means that's our prompt. So what does it mean to you to live in the Borderlands? Okay. Ileana. And Ileana is another one of my students. And now she's a bilingual supervisor, right? See, so I'm so proud. Ileana Molina from Cigarroa High School graduate. Come on, Ileana.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. To live in the Borderlands by Gloria Ansaldúa. To live in the Borderlands means you are neither hispana, negra, india, española, ni gabacha. Eres mestiza, mulata, half-breed, caught in the crossfire between camps while carrying 5 races on your back. Not knowing which eyes to turn, run from. To live in the Borderland means knowing that the Indian you betrayed for 500 years is no longer speaking to you. The Mexicanas call you rajetas. That denying the Anglo inside you is as bad as having denied the Indian or Black. Cuando vives en la frontera, people walk through you. The wind steals your voice. You're a burra, buey, space goat, forerunner of a new race. Have and have both women and men, neither a new gender. To live in the Borderlands means to put chili on the brush, eat whole wheat tortillas, speak Tex-Mex with a Brooklyn accent, be stopped by La Migra at the border checkpoints. Living in the Borderland means you fight hard to resist the gold elixir beckoning from the bottle, the pull of the gun barrel, the rope crushing the hollow of your throat. In the Borderlands, you are the battleground, where enemies are keen to each other. You are at home, a stranger. The border disputes have been settled. The volley of shots has scattered the truce. You are wounded, lost in action, dead, fighting back. To live in the Borderland means the male with the razor white teeth wants to shred off your olive red skin, crush out the kernel, your heart, pound you, pinch you, roll you out, smelling like white bread, but dead. To survive the Borderlands, you must live sin fronteras, be a crossroads.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ileana. And I don't know, everything speaks to me, but the one people walk through you, the wind steals your voice because they've tried to steal our language. The wind it steals your voice. Yet, why? I think the richest thing in Laredo is that I can read to you a poem in Spanish or in English, and all of you, I think all of you can understand both and understand it well. Okay, and so to live in the Borderlands means you put chile in your borscht. O sea, the food, we talk about food, we mix foods. I think that's wonderful. And you are a stranger in your own land. And that's how she feels, a stranger in your own land. I don't know if you've ever felt like that, That's how she felt because she grew up in the valley, which is very different from growing up in Laredo. I think Laredo, we've been very lucky. We haven't had so much discrimination. I don't think so, but to live in the borderlands, also the gold, to resist the gold elixir beckoning from the bottle. She says that there's a lot of alcoholism for the same thing, that people, don't know who they are. They have identity issues. Should I be this? Should I be that? And the borderlands means the mill with the razor white teeth wants to shred off your olive red skin. They want you to not be Mexicanos anymore, but crush out the kernel, your heart, pinch you, roll you out smelling like white bread, but dead. They want you to be white, but dead inside, because if you take away somebody's culture, there's nothing. And that's what it means. And so to survive, you must live sin fronteras. We're here, we're Mexican, we're American, we're both. So get yourself, be a new mestiza, a new mestizo, and take the best from both. And I think that's a good idea. Take the best from both. And I think we should be proud to be both. And that's what it means. And we don't have times for a lot of discussion because we have to do a lot of poems in 1 hour. But later, if you want to ask questions, you might. Now, Poets from Laredo, and Growing Up in Laredo by Raquel Valle Senties. Raquel, you'll be our first one. And we don't have your poem here, so we'll just listen to you. Raquel Valle is Laredo's premier poet. May I present to you Raquel Valle? And come. She has several books. She's also a playwright, and she has the poem that I love, Soy como soy y qué. Y así se llama. Y es fregona. In a good way. No, in a good way. In a good way. Soy como soy y qué. And I love it, and I call him La María Félix.
Sin la belleza de la María.
No. But I'm sorry we didn't.
It's okay.
We had a hard time getting this and that, and see. So we're get here so they can see you. See, so people that are there, and there's some more people, but I don't know.
Growing up in Laredo. Chicana, Pocha, Tex-Mex, Mexican-American, Latina, Hispanic. So many labels. Which one should I use? They're all the same to me. Yo nací en el border, en Laredo, as a matter of fact. Había pocos gringos. They were a minority. Hasta la fecha, they still are. Nadie tenía labels, or I was unaware of them. We were all Americans, unos güeros, otros morenos, y crecí talking like this. El get-together ya empezó. Los guys ya están llegando. Préstame tu lipstick, el Fire and Ice, que está bien rojo. ¿Es my crinolina hanging out? ¿Qué va? Yo lo bien padre. Me aprieta mucho el Merry Widow. I think I'll take it off. No, huerca, te hace ver muy sexy. On Sundays íbamos a morning mass. No había en la tarde, mucho menos on Saturday que te valiera for Sunday. A la 1 I would go al centro a ver the latest movie, al Tivoli o al Rialto, al Plaza o al Royal. Después al City Drug. A flirtear con los huercos, comer french fries con gravy, tomar un cherry coke, pasar allí la tarde. El hangout de los gringos era el Central Drug. We never went there. Discrimination, I suppose, but of our own accord. The guys would whisper de Conchita's place across the river. We were dying to ask about it, but nadie se atrevía. Let's go and eat cabrito con frijoles bien borrachos. There was no such thing as nachos, patos, or burritos. If you asked for a mariachi, you got a band cantando rancheras. En St. Angela Mall, debajo del Eagle Eye de la Gerarda y la Gabriela, bailábamos cheek to cheek to the tunes of Johnny James and Nat King Cole. Echábamos estilo con el clásico danzón y el mambo número 5. Growing up en ese tiempo fue una cosa bien bonita, without having all those labels para complicar más las cosas.
Thank you.
Talk about being an investigador.
Just enjoying it beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And we have Gilberto Quesada, but he's not. I asked him to read it, but I'll read just a little bit. His poem is very long. He is not in the WebEx. He said he was trying to get through WebEx, but I guess he's not. So, but he is a professor from San Antonio. He graduated a year behind me. Un muchacho de a tiro. Jovencito. I graduated in 1964 from St. Augustine. He graduated 1965. He's retired like I am. But he's been writing in the Laredo Times. And I asked him, and he says, I could have written in Spanish, I could have written in English, but I chose to write in Spanglish because that's the border language. And so I'm going to read you just one page of the 3 that he sent me. Es an unforgettable experience. Hay muchos momentos inolvidables that are embedded in our hearts and soul. Es muy bonito compartir los buenos momentos with our neighbors across the Rio Grande. We were like a family porque el río no nos dividía. I was born at home y 5 cuadras from the Rio Grande in the 1940s. In the barrio El Azteca en Laredo, Texas, en un ambiente muy mexicano. Mis padres eran and spoke only Spanish. Also, all the people spoke the same language and muchos hablaban Tex-Mex. También todos escuchaban Mexican music and novelas on their radios. My encounter con la idioma de inglés and a different culture occurred when I attended las escuelitas del barrio and my nickname was Prietito. I am brown and orgulloso to be mestizo. Mi sangre es Spanish and indigenous. I felt proud aprender a second language to become bilingual. En la Escuela Católica de San Agustín, we spoke English in front of the nuns, pero seguíamos hablando en Spanish entre la raza. Also, we had family and friends and now classmates que vivían al otro lado en Nuevo Laredo. And this continues and continues. It is living an ancestral heritage of 2 cultures, 2 idiomas, and 2 histories that unite us. I love the last verse that he does, but he's not here. But we do have Ms. Beatriz Ceja here with us, and I met Beatriz in the Border Slam community, and I was there last Thursday it was, where Cindy Bernal, Ricky Martinez, Beatriz Ceja, Isabel Shroud, I don't know if she's here, Isabel, she said she was coming, Isabel Ramirez, no, she's not. But it's wonderful, the Border Slam is a very vibrant and animados, and they have a lot to say. So I'm very happy that you're here. Let's welcome Ms. Beatriz Ceja with a text message to my stepson that she wrote. I had another workshop for them back in August, and she wrote this one there. So welcome, Ms. Beatriz Ceja. And she is a counselor, right? You are a counselor in a school?
No, I do online counseling.
Online, okay. Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Beatriz Ceja.
Thank you. So this is a work in progress since we did write it in the workshop, and the inevitable write, edit is gonna take time with this one. So my stepson failed his Spanish class and his father punished him by taking away his cell phone for 2 months. I felt it was too hard of a punishment considering I also failed Spanish class when I was in school and I'm a Mexican. My stepson is not. My stepson texts me begging me to ask his father to give his phone back to him. I texted him back, hijo, pero ¿cómo reprobaste la clase de español? He texted me back. My son is just as part of my life as I am part of his. And it is because of this that I want him to know that I am more than the other woman that married his father. In me, I want him to see a story that will not be left forgotten about two cultures that blend together and give birth to those that are still finding their way in this world, between two lands that they cannot understand how to navigate. To be proud of having a Mexican stepmother that can barbecue and make carne asada, but also need him to know that when I have to choose white as my race, it doesn't feel authentic. I am reminded every time I stand next to his blonde, colored-eyed white father, I am reminded by the looks we get, the jokes about whether his father married me because I was young or a sexy Latina. I want my son to understand that I do not choose when to be a sexy Latina. This shit runs through my veins every day. I want my son to be proud of being a Texan, but understand that this was Mexican land way before it was American. So my son might fail Spanish, but he will always know that this language will never be vanished. He will be reminded every Saturday morning, and as his mommy wakes him up with cumbias, like my mother woke me up with rancheras every time she wanted to clean the house. Or he will be reminded every Mexican candy I spoil him with. Or he will be reminded every time he sees the last name Ceja in front of the name Shirk, because his stepmother's name, along with her roots, will never be assimilated.
Thank you. Yes. I tell him another one of my.
Here, Roxanne, se me fue. Ay, ay, ay. ¿Qué le movió? No sé.
I please a big hand for Roxanne. I couldn't do anything without Roxanne. A librarian here at Joe Guerra's, and I am, as a poet laureate, I am a city employee, and they gave me the library as my liaison, and that I will adopt as a daughter. Because she helps me so much. Ay, Dios mío, ahora no puedo hacerle nada. Roxanne no se mueve. Ay, ay, ay. Do we have Chibi in the house? Is that Chibi? No. No, as I invited Chibi, he couldn't come. He's on a tour promoting his book. Yeah, he is the one that started the Border Slam here in Laredo. He's exceptional, Chibi Orduña.
That's not working.
It's not working. Ay, ay, ay. No me digas. Bueno, Armando López no la va a decir. He's out. Patricia Gonzalez, yes, deslenguadas, no more. Yeah. And Patricia was also inspired by Gloria Anzaldúa, right, Patricia? That talks about the deslenguadas and the language. Patricia has from Texas A&M College Station, and she is a social linguist, and she writes every Saturday at the Laredo Times, and I recommend that you read her articles. Are wonderful. And she actually talks, Tex-Mex, that's a dialect of the border, and we should respect and honor it. ¿Verdad, Patricia? Pásale, Dr. Patricia González.
Thank you.
Gracias, Rosa María. Gracias a todos por estar aquí con nosotros. Este poema también resultó a través del taller basado en Gloria Anzaldúa, la idea de la nueva mestiza, la idea de que yo a veces no me siento identificada porque soy del lado mexicano y como hablo español, como después de estudiar tantos años como hablante nativa, pues a veces no encajo. Entonces, que el viento se lleve nuestra voz y se confunda. Entonces se me ocurrió, porque nos inspira Rosa María a escribir, deslenguadas, no more. El guión de la US-Mexican border, que ya no sea una herida abierta. The world has never been a safe place to live. So, algo tenía que cambiar y cambió. Maybe we eat tortillas, but it is a choice. Deslenguadas, no more. Siempre hay encrucijadas. Y si queremos una X, se la ponemos a latino o a latina, Latinx. Mujeres empoderadas, carrying a couple of races on our backs, maybe more. Ahora somos indias, hispanas, negras, mestizas y mulatas, españolas o tejanas, fronterizas, Latinx, con asuntos de cada lado, de este lado y de aquel lado, hijas, madres, tías, profesoras, comerciantes, escritoras y vecinas, que ya no estamos en la línea de fuego. Now we know which side to take. We do not run. We negotiate. We stay. Ahora, nosotras somos las que disparan y hacemos business con los anglos porque hablamos su lengua, con el mundo porque borramos fronteras. Ya no hay más guión. Construimos un puente. Deslenguadas, no more. Thank you.
Buenísima, Patricia, gracias. Ay, ¿dónde dejé? Ay, bueno, no sé dónde dejé esto. Bueno, si no los digo yo, ahí está. Voy a decir, now it's my turn. Now it's my turn. And this is my poem that is like my signature because I wrote it back in 97, a long time ago. I'm a Spanish teacher, 39 years at the high school level, 10 more at the university. That's 49 years teaching Espanol. In 1997, I take a South Texas writing project in English. And I thought I couldn't write English, but I had to write it. You know, I had to write several pieces. And the first piece I wrote was a poem. I've always been a poet, you know, I've always written in poetry, but this one was my first piece in English. And then it got picked up by NPR when they came here to do Border Voices. So I was empowered, like the power. Me dieron ánimo. So I've kept this one as my signature piece. And it talks about fronteriza. That's what I am, border woman. And I live on the border, on the edge of two cultures. I'm immersed in both. I am Mexican American. What part of me is Mexican? What part of me is American? Are my genes hyphenated? Are my organs half and half? I sing the songs of Agustin Lara, Julio Iglesias, and Maná. Broadway plays, Carly Simon and Old Blue Eyes, I can't be without. I cry when I hear La Zacatecana, my grandmother's favorite patriotic song. America the Beautiful tugs at my heart and fills me with pride. I'm a Mexican during the 16 parade, and I root for Old Glory as the 4th rolls by. I'm a border woman. I am Mexican and I am American. I can be both at the proper time. I'm a fronteriza and I'm proud. So that's my... Yeah. And then just September 8th, I wrote because I was going to present this on the border. So I wrote one on the border, September 8th. And I've been changing it. You know, you who write, we're always changing, right? I never like what I write, never. But then I read it and I like it. I said, okay, maybe they give me validation, but I've changed a little bit. And I thought, what have we become? Borders were unknown centuries ago. People fled where they had to go. If there was a famine, they went looking for food. If there was violence, they went looking for peace, always hoping better life. Joseph, Mary, and Jesus fled to Egypt as Herod ordered all newborns killed. Egypt was a safe place, a haven, everyone said. The Holy Family was seeking asylum. No deportation, no separation they faced. They were just looking for a better place. Today, this family would be separated to different detention centers. Joseph, you go to the one in Zapata Highway. Mary, you go to the detention center in Saunders. Baby Jesus goes to protective services. And if you're lucky, you will see him again, maybe. Imagine that. This is civilization now. This is what we have. This is what we've become. There has to be a better way. We must get our priorities straight. And that's my border poem for you. Because there's, I think, and then I don't know if I put, yeah, my Chicano saints. Okay, this is text message. I read this for the Border Slam on Thursday. Y me aplaudieron también. My chica, Santo Remedio and San Se Acabó are two saints from my youth that impacted me so. The many boo-boos of my childhood were healed with tenderness as Mama repeated the familiar, sana, sana, colita de rana. A kiss, a hug, a band-aid, and the magical words, Santo Remedio, San Se Acabó, and boo-boo heard no. All night, my mom would tell me, go to the neighbor's house, the one with the chickens in her yard. Ask her for one of the freshest eggs. Rub, rub, pray, pray over the baby's head. Crack the egg, put it in a glass, place it under the crib. Next morning, the egg was cloudy. The baby was fine. Santo Remedio, San Se Acabó. Somebody had given baby the evil eye. When the siblings were fighting, God knows what for this time, Mama would come out of the kitchen, give us her special look, and La Chancla lurking behind. She'd utter the magical word, Santo Remedio, San Se Acabó, with the chancla high in the air. We would quickly settle down and everything would be ought to be a shrine for Santo Remedio and San Se Acabó somewhere with a special niche for colita de rana en la chancla. This is very light. So now it's our turn to write. Okay, and I know I have a lot of good writers. I'm seeing Cindy Bernal, Ricky Martinez, good writers, and I expect a lot for you. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes, and that our tips for writing poetry. The first one is read lots of poetry, respond to poems you like. I had a Locochon one, the Santo Remedio was loco, 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 but those are also cute. And the other one about my experience. And of course, we have the great Gloria Anzaldúa with all her complex, and we had Alberto Rios. So if some, or you can write your own. And I always suggest you keep a journal and use metaphors, images, figurative language, etc. And the number 9, revise, revise, revise. That is the best thing we can do after our poem is, after we do our poems. But here we're going to give you 10 minutes. It's exactly 7 o'clock, and we'll give you 10 minutes. We'll stop recording for 10 minutes. People out there and people here in the audience, please be quiet because a lot of people will be writing. I expect a lot of you to write. Nobody over there, Bratton. I want you to write another one. I knew your grandma. I knew him, your grandpa. I'm that old. That's why yes, start right now. Put the timer and stop. See us back in 10 minutes, WebEx people. We're going to stop the recording, but now we resume. There we go. We're coming back, participants through WebEx. Yes. Xiomara is there, Roberto de Leon, Luis Guerra. Lola Norris, you're here. Lola, wait, where are... Lola, we hadn't seen you, Lola. Can you talk? A ver, ¿dónde está Lola?
She's right there.
Yes, but I'm on mute.
¿Cómo le hago? Lola,
you hear me?
Say your poem.
I don't know if she can hear us.
I can hear you.
Lola Norris is here. She's joining us from Switzerland. It's 2:00 in the morning over there.
I don't know if she can.
Lola, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Well,
No, because I think the mic.
unmute all. No?
Can you
Okay.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Lola, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Send me a text message. Okay, so that gives you a few minutes more to revise or write your name down if you want to. Oh my goodness.
Oh, she can hear you. All right, let me take this off. Can you say something? But you can't hear me.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear now.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's just that you're not connected to the speaker, so they won't be able to.
yeah. Yeah. Well, can I put? Okay, you know what? We're going to have some of the students participate, the participants say our poems. And Ms. Roxanne is getting something so we can hear you, a connection or something. Okay, Lola, and then we'll hear you in a minute. I'm sorry, it's 2:00 in Switzerland. And thank you so
problem.
much for. A ver,
I've
di
been
algo.
listening. I've been listening to the beautiful poem since you started.
Ay, thank you. And we didn't see your name. I don't know what happened. As just right now, as we were scrolling, we saw Lola Norris. And we should have called you when it was your turn.
It's okay.
But,
That's no problem.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us. And we want to hear our river in a minute. We're going to start right now with Miss Cindy Bernal, a teacher at Nixon High School, and a great poet from Laredo. She has several books already published. Big applause.
All right, so this is a very rough work in progress, but from the words of the other beautiful women present and the ones shared out loud, I was inspired. So this is called Border Reflections. To be a reflection on the water, a border of life that flows with tempestuous passion, tumultuous and fervent, still and stagnant, a vein of both life and death. Our brothers, nuestra familia, sister cities that love and argue like true sisters, nuestra patria, our motherland and soul. It's okay. The land of dreams and the land of the forgotten. We have children in cages, mothers torn down. The tears of our own pain and joy cause floods filling up the Rio Grande. Las fiestas de color, the song of the dead, como los días de los muertos, the day that I died and my son was born. So they have so far. Thank you.
Lola, we're still working on technology to get you. But next we have Sam Bratton. This is Esther Buckley's grandson, for those of you who knew Esther Buckley, my dear friend. Yeah, Miss Buckley some of you from Cigarroa. Yeah, you probably had her as a teacher, right? This is her grandson, okay? He looks very much like the Buckleys.
Hello, good evening. My name is Sam Bratton. I also go by Nobody down at the Laredo Borderlands every second and fourth Thursday of the month, just to plug that in there real quick. I was inspired to write these two haiku poems. So haikus real quick are just short little 3-line poems in the Japanese style with 17 syllables, so 575. So it shouldn't take me too long. In the borderlands, you must have a wild soul from your blood to your bones. Right here.
People can see you.
Do they
So
need
there-
to see?
there's the
But I'm so ugly.
No. You look like the pumpkins, though.
The second one is, In the Borderlands, we learn to expand God's plans like rivers of life.
All right, thank you.
Let me lower this down. Hold on, Miss
We're
Dan.
going to do something, so maybe we can connect with Switzerland. Next, we have Ricky Martinez in a little while, Ricky, okay? Okay. We're trying to connect to Switzerland.
Okay, now
A ver,
let's see if we can hear her.
Say something, Lola.
Hello,
We can hear
can you
her.
hear me?
Can you hear her? Can we see her? No, that's
No, I
asking
hear-
too much.
I cannot see you guys either. I can see everybody else that's on WebEx, but I
Oh,
cannot
now I
see
see you. We see you. That's Lola. And it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Thank you so much.
Our camera got frozen. I think.
Our camera is frozen because, yeah, oh, there
there
it
it
is.
is.
There we
Now I
go.
can see you.
There we go.
There.
If you want, can she say a poem or no?
Yes, she's going to read Our River. She wrote it.
Okay, now she can.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. And I wish we
Okay.
could see, we had 48 people present and there's 7 of you or 10 in the via WebEx.
It was a wonderful selection of poems. I really enjoyed it so far.
Over here. Should I just say the poem?
Okay, we're expecting Our River.
Do you want me to read?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Yes, we want you to.
Okay, so this is a poem that I wrote about a year ago, and it's titled "You Are Our River." You are our river. You are my river. Rio Grande, Rio Bravo, Rio Turbio. Though not born on your banks, I drank your water and I became part of you. You are part of me and my hybrid identity. Your water is my essence. We are all made of water, a red liquid we call blood. Through water, we are related to the animals, the plants, the earth, the mountains, the rivers, connected with all creation. You are our river. You are my river, gently meandering, a blue-gray shimmering ribbon nestled in the brush. You have always been there, before we came, before we created imaginary lines that divide us, orders. You were here, a witness to our silly comings and goings, a silent spectator to our careless misuse of you. You are our river. You are my river. Too long I have taken you for granted, not done enough to protect you from us, from pollution. Now I see you, I hear you, I feel you, threatened by stupidity, racism, and greed, imperiled by lies and distortions, by people who don't know you, who don't love you like I do. And today I say, I will protect you. Thank you for allowing me to read this.
thank you so much. And I didn't introduce Lola, is a Spanish professor at Texas A&M University here in Laredo, TAMU. She received her PhD also from College Station, one of the first PhDs, or the first PhD. She is originally from Spain, came to Laredo a long time ago with her husband, Tigre Perez, and she has 6 children, right, Lola? That look like brothers and sisters. Yeah, grandes. And she's a grandma. And now she's doing a sabbatical in Europe. She was in Spain and France, and now she's in Switzerland. So we really thank her. Another great applause for our Lola. Thank you. And now Ricky Martinez, another great book. I should have brought your book. Just bring your book. Yeah, you have it. Okay.
Okay, and Ricky is going to read what he wrote right now about the border. At Ricky and the Border Slam, just this Thursday.
How you doing, everybody? All right, just to let y'all know, I just became a published author 3 months ago in June, and this is my book called Laredo-Reflections.
This is Ricky the book. Aplauso.
And I still got 2% off to others. All right, so this one's gonna be a work in progress. I wasn't done, but I just wrote what I, felt at the time, and just needs a little bit more editing. What the border means to me is both amazing and saddening. Saddening meaning they want you to be afraid of your own voice. They want you to be afraid of hearing your own words. They want you to be afraid of your own skin. They want to judge you on everything that you stand for. They want to hold you down for all the greatness your culture holds deeper than the endless sea. Always remember that you are more than they say that you are. What the border means to me is my mom cherishing the words of Chente. The bird at the glass kitchen my father owns is dancing to and enjoying Selena Quintanilla songs. Anything for Salinas, may I add. It has been you. Because that is who you're meant to be. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
10 minutes and then revise, and then we send it. We're going to ask all of you who are reading today, and even if you're not reading and you want to send your poems to Roxanne Garza here at the library. She's going to be the keeper of the poems. She's helping me in this. And now we have Ileana. And if you still want to, Gil Rocha, you want to sign because you've been writing and writing. Yes.
And now we have Ileana Hinojosa. Molina.
Yes. I just want a little bit of background information. I felt very inspired by the poems because I lived through that. I was born here, lived in Mexico, came back. As a matter of fact, my first year, she was my teacher, my Spanish teacher. So for me, that was my safe place because it was a place that my language was valued and I was able to do so much. Whereas in the other classes, it was all English and you have to only speak English and it was very hard. So she always inspired us and I had wonderful teachers and I became a teacher and now I work for the bilingual department and it's amazing, to see and motivate students, to value their culture, their language. I mean, it's great. We live in a very unique region and we should value it and be proud of it. So. Como mi primer idioma es el español, me siento más cómoda escribiendo español, así que yo comparto mi poema en español. Y se llama Mi vida en la frontera. Mi vida es una constante lucha entre escoger la vida de mis abuelos o el futuro que quiero para mis hijos. Mi vida consiste en ignorar las críticas. Cada vez que regreso a mi pueblo, ¿y ahora qué? ¿Te crees gringa? O cuando vuelvo, nunca falta el...
Está right there. Clarisa Guzmán. Pásale.
That's wonderful, Ileana.
Me encanta tu blusa. Clarisa, we're so happy you are from Puerto United South, Cristina Soto. Wow. I love it when students come. You're our future kids. You are our future.
Okay, the title for my poem is The Checkpoint. Life where a crack divides the two but doesn't define the two. But even now starts a feud that leaves one exclude. one not too American for one and not enough Mexican for the other. Who you are never seems to be enough, but the language you know seems to be the glue. A place where life is full with opportunities, but on the other side, life seems to be a challenge. But even then, life can take a turn and the day will come where we will learn. And that's my poem.
It's wonderful. Yes. And we're struggling. All of us are struggling. You know, we all struggle. I struggle. I still struggle, I think. Who's next? Where's my paper? Where's the paper? Apunta aquí, pero después de Clarissa se llama Guillermo Moreno. Guillermo Moreno. I love students. I was a teacher for 49 years. I love students. I love always promoted poetry among my students. Okay, Guillermo.
Tell us a little bit from school.
United. United, you said this.
How we share, live, and breathe the same air, but even now it doesn't seem fair. What causes separation even causes desperation. Something what was a location now sits as a decoration. As the water dries, we cut our ties. Soon we will be able to close this chapter, which is also seen as an important factor.
Chris Soto, no? Or your students go first, okay.
We have Luis Manuel.
Luis Manuel Rodriguez. Another one of your students? No? Your turn.
Jessica also wrote. Jessica's there?
Ya se puso.
Can I get mine?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Are you vaccinated? Hopefully. Yeah. Okay.
I have 3 or 4 shots.
So do we. So. You're supposed to participate.
Hi, good evening. Do you hear me clear or I'm speaking entre dientes?
What school are you from?
Okay, I'm a ILI student from TAMIU
Oh,
here in Laredo.
Sí, sí, muy bien.
This is my attempt of writing a poem. I won't call it a poem actually. It's more like a description of my life here in Laredo.
Okay.
Well, it's named A New Man. I'm a new man. I came for student here at Texas. I love Texas since I was a kid. I'm from Sabinas, Coahuila. I come from a land of charcoal, mines, and close border people. I'm a new man. I'm taking care of my mom who's from Chihuahua. Somos norteños, we work hard. It doesn't matter, de que se logra, se logra. No hay bronca. I'm a new man. I'm waiting for my dad and my sister who are in Torreon. I'm living here in Laredo, spending time with my Pochita family. I'm a new man. I'm excited of getting old here in Texas. I'm only 18 right now. And of course, we love carne asada, montados, barbacoa, and discada. Simples manjares del norte. It doesn't matter. Thank you. Thank you.
Norte. De Sabinas, Coahuila. Muy bien. Sí, puedes decir en inglés y en español, pero you're a new man, so you want to write in English, and you're ESL with Miss Vargas. So, yes, thank you. Revise it. You need to add to it and revise, but it's starting very well. Thank you. Maria Flores Martinez. Okay. And Cristina Sertuche, and then Hugh Rocha. And Jessica, you want to say? No? Hey, you never know? Aquí estoy. Aquí, perdón. Mira, desde ahí está, de Tamiyu.
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 Hello. I am not a pro at all, but I got really inspired by a recent visit that I did to my home in Tamaulipas, and we're always at war, but recently it's just a lot worse. So if you don't like my style of poetry, I hope you at least get something from the message. And I titled this piece Water Under the Bridge. It's an everyday thing, my God given right, even, to walk back and forth as much as I'd like, just because I'm an American citizen. But Mexico's my home. It's always been. And my brothers and sisters are with me under the bridge. You may hear the rumors, the news, or gunshots in the distance, but you haven't feared for your life over the simplest things. A car speeding by you, a knock on the door, a blackout. These are all things that get us killed. Maybe they won't mean much to you. I've survived the nightmare and I've dodged the bullets, but I have the privilege of always running back to this safe haven. Por eso, cuando veo a mi raza matándose por cruzar el río, los mando con Dios y le pido que los haga transparentes como el agua bajo el puente. Thank you.
Yeah, she also talks about the violence that's going on, and many times we don't address that violence that is caused mostly by the drugs that we consume in the U.S. and the cartels are killing each other for the drugs we consume here, but nobody says anything about it. Thank you. That's very powerful. Thank you. Now we have Cristina Sartuche. Cristina. And then we have Gil Rocha. And then Luis Rodriguez. And Luz. And then David Arrazola. Then Jacob. And then,
And then the ones on the two sides.
and then the sites. And then Cristina Soto. At the end.
Um, so I actually came to like accompany my mom here. I'm not actually like a part of this class, but I decided to write a poem because why not?
Yes, that's what we want you to do.
Also, I'm kind of nervous because last time, this is my first time, like reading a poem out loud, and it's not in my school, and also there are adults here.
Don't worry. What school do you go to?
Alexander.
Alexander? Miss Vargas?
Yes, but it's not south. Not south. Not south.
No, it's not south. It's Alexander is here.
Yes.
Yeah, my kids went, well.
Also the library had like this poetry contest and I didn't win. So but I'm gonna read it.
Turn in your poems for the Laredo Poetry Festival for next year, because we're gonna do the same
prompt.
The same prompt.
Because we want the whole city to have the same prompt. So if you better you revise. We always revise. We're always revising.
Yes.
And when it's very good, you turn it in to Miss Roxanne, and we're going to put it in also in the citywide contest. Okay? So we start. But
No wonder I didn't win.
We always start little and we go big. And don't be afraid. We all started
You have to start somewhere.
somewhere.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So it's called a simple line. So one simple line to shift my reality. How can such a little thing make a big difference in me? One border that can split my soul in half. Yet it's that one missing piece to put it back together again. This flowing river which separates two worlds so different from each other, yet so similar. I don't like how I have to change my way of speaking and mannerism just by crossing. It shouldn't be that way. Both worlds almost identical, separated by a barrier that shouldn't even be a barrier, but a welcoming sign to join two different cultures and languages together. Like brothers, sisters, unidos por siempre al grito de la guerra. Piñatas, alebrijes, fiestas, and whatnot. It's all there, but out of reach. Just a line away.
Wow.
Very good. Thank you. Cristina Sertuche, thank you very much, María Flores. Cristina Sertuche, ¿dónde está Cristina Sertuche? Oh, that's you, Cristina, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have put a, Il Rocha. Yes, yes. He is a teacher, an art, he's an artist. So thank you so much for doing it. Hey, but all the arts go together.
This is super short, and I'm sorry for the last line.
Because
Okay, here we
there's a
go.
camera for the other people.
Okay. El border es la sombra donde tomo un breve break entre las 11:55 y las 12:05. Hijo de su pinche madre, está bien hot.
Okay. I saw you right for half an hour. Okay. Luis Rodriguez. Luis. Okay, Luis Rodriguez. What school are you from? Luis.
Otro alumno, ¿verdad? What school are you from, Luis?
United South.
Oh, United South.
Yes. Okay, just start.
Living in the border gives way to issues. Living in the border brings problems. Living in the border hazards discrimination. Living in the border allows exploitation. Living in the border gives experience. Living in the border gives opportunity. Living in the border gives diversity. Living in the border gives unity.
Thank you. David Arreazol. David. This is David. David. Oh, you're David. You're the son. Grandson, then.
Rebecca, come over here, David, so that they can see you there.
The poem is called Border. Living on the border. It can show you two different types of people. The border is a magical place. It shows history, battle, what has happened in the past. The border means nothing to the animals, but to us, it is an ever-showing stop sign. Keeping us from seeing our other half. Living on the border. It shows us that two cultures can come together and people of many races can be one. The border is magical.
All right. Thank you. I love the magical part. Yes. Jacob. What's your last name, Jacob? All right, Jacob. What's your last name?
Geta.
Inta, okay. Yeah, that's a camera and you have to. I love your energy. Okay.
My poem is called Living in the Border. Living in the border is like oil and water. Living in the border is like two sides of a coin. Living in the border is like connecting an iPhone with an Android charger. Living in the border is like putting a water bottle cap on a Coca-Cola bottle.
Yeah.
Living in the border is like putting an extra large shirt on a baby. Living in the border is like putting an iPhone case on a flip phone. Living in the border is like putting a tree in the desert. Living in the border is a blessing.
All those images. You have a lot there. Okay? The only thing revise. Okay? Now we have Ricardo Martinez, but it's not you.
Okay, Ricardo. What school? United South. All right for United South.
My name is Ricky, and my poem is called The Border. The border holds a kingdom of two sides. Fights are being battled, friends become enemies, storytelling becomes a theme. two different perspectives, two different stories. Border holds magical things. Magical things become fairy tales become dreams, dreams become nightmares. The border holds magical things.
Thank you. I love the magical things. Why? That's wonderful, wonderful. Now, Cassandra Capetillo. Cassandra and then Leslie.
Thank you, Cassandra. The title of this is The Border Life. Living in a border town is getting called beaners, negras, or negros. Living in a border town is hearing balazos in the middle of the night. Living in the border town is seeing border patrols everywhere you go. Living in a border town is getting treated differently. Living in a border town is being separated from family. Living in a border town is hearing people talk Spanglish. Living in a border town means that the guys are machistas.
The guys are machistas.
Oh, qué triste realidad. It's true. Okay, I hope not everybody. That's Liz. And then Chris Soto.
Are all Miss Chris Soto's students.
Thank you. My name's Leslie from United South. My poem is titled Life of Living on the Border. To celebrate a birthday with cousins chanting Mordida. To ask for a plate as strangers carne asada. To see chickens literally cross the road before your eyes. To be targeted by the infamous chancla, full of rage. To be paranoid when you hear random fireworks, stinking the worst. To get a nickname that came from your biggest insecurity. To be laughed at for your American accent, you gringa. To be unable to talk to your own abuelita having been raised with English. To see your own familia be taken away to the other side. To lose your identity. To fight to take that identity back.
All right. Is your familiar this day or you, it's from somebody else?
Someone else put the best.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Yes, I once saw one of my students be taken across and all her family too, from my classroom. They went and took her out and sent her. Yeah, we live that in United South. We live that. Cigarroa also, right next to you. Okay, now we have Alejandra Iniguez. And then who?
Sylvia Vargas.
Sylvia Vargas. Okay. Sylvia. And then Toto. So we have Alejandra, all teachers. Alejandra, Cristina, and Sylvia. Ya pasen. Okay. Alejandra.
Sí. Sí. Lindísima Alejandra. Lista. Teacher at Nixon High School.
No, United South High School.
Oh, you're
thinking of my aunt and my cousin.
I'm thinking Cindy and Xiomara. I'm thinking of Xiomara. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You're probably thinking of my aunt too. Veronica Iniguez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know her.
And her daughter, Beba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I know. We had the same hair.
Yeah.
So I lived a little different experience. I'm from Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico. So, like I speak that fast for that reason. And all that stuff.
Regia.
So Regia, yes. So mine's a little bit different, and I'll make it short because I had a little shorter one, but that one didn't make sense. So this one's just a little memory that I have. It's called The Fender Bender on Gale Street. The cul-de-sac on Gale Street is where I got my name, or better yet, where the others got taken. The first year in the US, and I finally see a cop. Taking count of who's inside, they put us kids in a line. Name, Carla. Name, Tony. Name, oh boy. Something in me is bubbling. Alejandro Isabel Iñiguez Menchaca. His eyes, surprised, become a scanner. Ale Iñiguez will do. Now I know why cops' cars are red and blue. They're red in my cheeks, the blue cold of my soul, to hear all of my names reduced to just those.
Now I know why cop cars are black and white. That's how they saw me. On one side or back.
Yeah, yeah. Sylvia Vargas. Soy Soto. ¿Quién quiere ir primero? Sylvia primero. Sylvia, en español, ¿nos va a deleitar en español o en inglés? A ver.
Surprise.
Surprise. Sorpresa.
Sorpresa.
En español.
Alexander, mi buena amiga, compañera, colega, allá para que te vean los señales.
Porque es que no me alcanzo como quiera.
Mira, sí, ya ves.
Buenas noches. Ya ves que sí sabes. Saludos a Lola.
Sí.
Crayola. Chayanne. Okay. And Beto and Leonardo. There we go. My students from TAMI.
Oh, all right. ¿Y Chayanne también?
Yes.
Chayanne.
Hola, Chayanne.
Hola, Chayanne.
To live in the border means exploring the identity we've earned through our heritage, assimilating the culture through our identity, experiencing no detachment, rather welcoming bicultural legacy full of folklore, with rhythms and rhymes, with aches, pains, and joys. To live in the border means having the courage of drinking the Rio Grande water while watching the aliens who perish daily. Looking for el sueño eternamente americano de una frontera con puertas rupestres dentro de un mundo cercano y por otro lado, so much arcano, with so many freedoms, and why not some fears también. Thank you.
There, I knew it. And now, Chris Soto.
United South.
Oh, sorry, I'm just going to do a teacher thing. All right, here's my poem. My poem, I like the way first Alberto Rios talked about choices and the choices that we use in language and the choices that we choose in language. And so this is the way I was raised. It wasn't anything difficult. So here we go. Language choices. Blessed am I to be born in and on the border. I can soar in English and in Spanish and in Spanglish with gracious first teachers, my parents, Crispina and Dolores, who taught me in both English and Spanish, never telling me to speak only in one way. Back and forth we went as if on a seesaw or a ping pong game. Back and forth we spoke in pure code switching. I am grateful to Maestra Consuelo Lugo Rivas, my elementary and middle school Spanish teacher who taught ortografía, caligrafía, and escritura. She was estricta when we spoke, and only Español should have been spoken in su clase. If I said something in English in her class, I could hear Cristina out loud. Enfoque, trabaje. Sí, maestra, I would shirk. Upon arriving in Dr. Leo Cigarroa High School, I was introduced to a classy blonde Spanish teacher, Maestra Rosa Maria de Llano. She dictated, guided, and instructed us how essential Spanish was. I ended up in her class 4 years, up unto the advanced classes. Oh, how I enjoyed her class. Aprendí a hablar el español y su literatura. Aprendí a hablar y apreciar el español y su literatura era interesante. My senior year, I was introduced to my literature teacher, Mrs. Mary Lou Lopez. Oh boy, Shakespeare and research paper was vividly ingrained in my mind. We spoke articulately to her. I knew my place. English was English, Spanish was Spanish. El Tex-Mex code switching Spanglish was spoken with fluidity with my friends, raza, and family. We knew where there were times and places we spoke either of our languages, English, Spanish, Espanol, and code switching. Qué bendición to choose a language en la frontera.
Oh my God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's wonderful. Because everything that we've been saying and the choice is yours. Well, this ends with this. We end. What a wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, everybody in cyberspace. Thank you so much for being with me. It's going to be 9. I mean, 8. What am I saying? 8, 9. Ya nos hubieran corrido. The library closes at 8. Thank you. Next October 11th, we have Calaveras Fronterizas. Oh, Jessica, you wanted to say something. You wanted to invite. Before they leave, she's going to give you some. You want to give them out? You want to have the mic? No? Okay, she just wants to tell the students. Okay, thank you very much, everybody in cyberspace. Thank you for being with us. Bye-bye. I hope you join us next in October.
Yes.